Steve, let's start with your departure from Blackpool. You left the club last month. The dust has settled now. How do you reflect on that?
Just really genuinely disappointed. Unfortunately, I have to say I didn't get it right. And we're judged on one thing really. We're judged on results, and it doesn't matter who you are these days. And unfortunately, the results weren't good enough.
But you keep going back every time you leave a club. You keep going back in. Is that still the hope?
I know. Listen. There's nothing more than I enjoy. I've said it many times that football's been the only thing I've had in my life. How lucky am I? I've been going since I was 16. I'm now coming up retirement age. So I'm never going to say never, but I would highly doubt it. That maybe it's time to go and do other things in life, like go to the Ashes and things like that.
You often go back in as a manager. Do you think somebody with your experience, and I could give lots of examples of this.
That might be the next one. That might be the next step where, do you know something, when I was young, the reason why I had 3-4 clubs in the matter of 18 months when I first started was I was young and naive and trying to be the boss, if you like, and it wasn't until John Benson, God rest his soul, who I bumped into at Wigan with grey hair, and I always said I wish when I was younger I had got somebody with grey hair to maybe just steer a path through, because you can do as many courses as you like. You can do as many courses, you can do as many this and that and the other. Nothing puts you into the position like being the number one or the head coach or the manager. And so that may be a course. Look, I'd love to stay in it in some capacity. It's a difficult one because I've had so much joy. Hey, by the way, it tests you to the limit mentally. I still enjoy it as much as I do now. It's changed, of course it has, but I still enjoy it as much now as I did 40 years ago.
And the phone's on, just in case?
Yeah, you never say never, but I really doubt it, but you never know. It's like Martin O'Neill. Yeah, and all of a sudden, this interim could be longer than just a couple of weeks if he keeps winning.
Let's talk about some of your former clubs. We'll start with Manchester United.
I think he's been 12 months, and the last month is arguably his most successful. I think we all desperately want him to do well. I think we all like him. He's made some big calls, you know, the Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony. I think the owner coming out, giving him the time that he needs, is quite reassuring for him. So we all wish him the best of luck.
Would European football be a successful season?
Well, that would be. I think they put all the eggs in the basket last year in trying to win the Europa Cup, and I think he sacrificed the league for it. I can understand what he did to try and win a trophy. Anything that gets them in and around Europe would have to be, at this particular moment, a bonus, wouldn't it?
What about tactics?
Well, I don't think he's going to change, is he? I think he's pretty steadfast. This is the way he wants to go and do it, and I think he'd rather get the boot doing it his way, and fair play to him. He stuck to his belief, stuck to his principle. Ultimately, you still have to get results.
Do you think in the long term he will be successful?
There is signs of it, isn't there, though, over the last month? As we can see in football, it's very difficult. 8 weeks ago, we're all saying, oh, nobody's going to catch Liverpool because of what they've done and how they've gone about their work in the transfer market, blah, blah, blah. Hasn't quite worked yet. Takes time, huh? You know, the lads need time to settle into the new environment, and all of a sudden they've lost 5 or 6, and nobody's seen it from nowhere. So that's the beauty of football and why we all enjoy it so much.
What about Newcastle?
I have to say, Eddie's done a marvellous job. You know, the club's done wonders in 4 years under him, and they can only go from strength to strength, really.
What about Nick Woltemade up top? Because he's very different to Isak, who he's replaced.
Very difficult, and they've had to deal with that. The whole summer has been the saga of Isak, wasn't it, you know? But I think they were adamant that they had to get the striker in. So Woltemade looks a little bit different, doesn't he? Very different to Isak. I mean, look, Isak for Newcastle last year was arguably as good as you get, and that's why he went for the colossal sum of money he did. But Woltemade is hit the ground running.
You mentioned hitting the ground running. Sunderland have certainly done that in the Premier League.
There again, we talk about recruitment and what they've brought in. I have to say, you know, 2 or 3 of their signings, particularly the captain, Xhaka, with all these younger lads, he seems to be the one that leads from the front. He's got all that captain material. He's probably matured into the player he is today. He's certainly the leader of the gang, and how refreshing it is to see. I mean, they've spent a hell of a lot of money, let's not forget that, but the key point is getting it right. So it's good to see them up and running and flying high, and well done to everybody in charge.
In terms of the title, Arsenal.
They look. Well, I've seen them live. You know, they were magnificent, and when you look at them, when you look at them from afar and watch them, there's no real weakness. You know, they look the one to beat at the moment. However, we all know I don't think they've won the league for 20 odd years. When the tickly bit starts towards the end of the year in March and April, then it's what it's all about, because we all know getting over the line the first time is always the most difficult.
Well, let's talk about the tickly bit, because you did it at Manchester United, getting over the line for the first time in a long time. So,
and we know how difficult it is, because the year before we were flying up till Christmas. This was pre-Premier League, would you believe? Pre-Premier League, we lost out to Leeds. I know we had to play an outrageous sum of 4 games and 8 days towards the end, which was ridiculous, but we could never replicate what we did till Christmas time. We were flying, and then all of a sudden the pressure comes on you and the intensity comes on you, and it becomes then difficult, and we fell away. That experience stood us in good stead the next time round, but even then, still getting over the line. I'm so pleased we didn't have to do it. We won with 2-3 games to go, but always that first one is the most difficult, and that's when Arsenal will come against it like anybody else.
Can I ask you about set pieces and in particular throw-ins, because they've become really important in the game?
There was a time when it was scorned upon, wasn't it? But now people are looking at, listen, set pieces has always been 33% of goals are set pieces. And I said to our staff, even this year, you tested them, where do you put this into your schedule to practice it? How do you do it? Where do you do it? How often do you do it? Because, you know, I think we worked out last season, we did spend something like 3-4% of the time on set pieces. Not enough. But in the middle of winter and you're standing out in the freezing cold, it's very difficult to practice set pieces. So it's become a huge, huge part of the game. There's the key. You know, can you get the delivery right? I remember a young Sir David Beckham, delivery was, only had to get into on the end of it because you knew was coming in on the same pace, the same trajectory. You knew that he wouldn't fail. So it's become now the niche thing. How can we get set pieces, especially throw-ins?
You've scored some memorable goals for Manchester United.
Yeah.
You'd probably get a few more in this day and age, wouldn't you? Being sent up for every long throw.
Well, I used to think back in the day, I need to score between 6 and 8 because the delivery's good if I've got good players who can do it. And there was one time I think I scored 19 in a season, you know. So I took a few penalties then, but yeah, I would always think of it as a set piece. I want to try and score, you know, and managed to get a few in my time.
Do you think the role of the central defender has changed a lot
yeah.
since your day? Because we saw the goal recently with Mickey van der Ven when he set off from the back and went on this mazy run and scored a wonder goal.
I've got to say this because it was a centre half. It's as if centre half is the most important position on the pitch now. You've got to play 1-2s in your own 18-yard box. You've got a bit of the ability to play out. You've got to head it. Now Van der Ven can dribble 70 yards and run the length of the pitch. You've got to handle the ball well. Back in my day, you played centre back because you weren't very good with the ball, you know. And how often you just got done by your size, didn't you? Oh, he's a big one, we'll shove him at the back. Great to see now that the centre backs are just as comfortable as the ball with like midfield players are, especially at the elite level.